Officer pulled a pin, tossed a frag in the dirt. Soldiers scattered, panic, running so they wouldn't get hurt. Skinny kid dove down, trapped the bomb with his chest. Yo, get back, fake blast, easily passed the test. 20-kilo run done, grease smeared on the pole. Soldiers swarm, slipped down, losing all their control. Steve stepped up calm, yanked the metal base pin, snatched the flag, hopped the car, took the easy win. Erskine dropped the truth, hydro creeping in the night. Red skull gripped the cube, stealing supernatural light. Forging heavy weapons, plotting global domination. Army picked the smallest man to save the whole nation. Carter hit the antique shop, pushed the hidden door. Secret military base buried underneath the floor. Howard Stark locked the pod, prepped the prototype frame. Steve stripped his shirt off, stepping in the game. 6 vials, pumped the serum straight into his veins. Howard creaked the vital rays, bringing on the pains. Blinding flash cracked the room, Steve started to scream. Carter yelled, shut it down, kill the power stream. No, I can do this. Steve roared from the core. Gear stopped grinding, pod opened up the door. The skinny little kid just walked out, a beast. Smashed a new reactor right into my chest. I've been calling on the phone, putting me to the test. Threatened Stark Industries, then he drops the heavy line. Saw Hammer dancing on the stage, thinking everything's fine. Flew the armor to the expo, landing on the floor. Told Rhodey that the Russian villains knocking at the door. Hammer playing dumb, but the heavy weapons locked. War Machine raises up the gun, giving me the shot. Drones opening fire, so I blast into the sky. Pull the danger from the crowd, so the people didn't die. Saw a kid in a mask aiming right at the bot. Nice work, kid, blasting up the heavy shot. Widow pins, hammer down, getting all the heavy facts. Changing in the car, bringing happy heart attacks. Kicking through the factory, smashing up the guards. Happy fighting one guy, she dropping MERs. I've been slipped away, but she reboots Rhodey's brain. Now my best friend is back, standing in the heavy rain. Drones dropping from the clouds, locking us inside the trap. Fired up the spinning lasers, cutting armor to a scrap. Ivan drops into the dirt with the heavy metal suit. Rhodey aims the ex-wife, getting ready for the shoot. Fires off the missile, bounces right off the chest. Hammer tech failing when we put it to the test. Ivan starts to laugh, cracks electric glowing whip. Chop the heavy gun in half, tighten in the heavy grip. Throws me at the rock, wrapping cables round my neck. Choking out the breath, turning armor to a wreck. Got an idea, Rhodey, put your hand in the space. Cross the repulsor beams, blasting in his heavy face. Massive explosion drops the villain to the dust. But the self-destruct is ticking, I gotta make the heavy thrust. Flew down to the expo, snatch pepper from the blast. Kissing on the rooftop, leaving danger in the past. Fury wants me on the squad, stepping in the night. You can't afford the Iron Man, I own a heavy light. From 33 floors, crashing on the heavy ground. Shield took the heavy drop, walking off without a sound. Rode the chopper through the doors right before the heavy lock. Fighter jet in the street, bringing up the heavy shots. Spraying heavy machine guns through the shield into the blade. Jumped upon the metal wings, crashing in the barricade. Met the widow in the dark, stepped into the hidden vault. Plugged the drive into the port, finding out the heavy fault. Scores doctor on the screen, speeding out the heavy code. Hydra hiding in the shield, taking up the heavy road. Missile blowing up the room, smashing down the heavy wall. Dove into the city sewer, surviving the heavy fall. Dragged the traitor to the roof, kicked him off the heavy ledge. Falcon grabbed him in the sky, threw him back up on the edge. Picked the heavy master plan, reading up the data track. Millions getting wiped away, waiting for the dark attack. 16 hours on the clock, helicarriers taking flight. Trio driving to the base, stepping in the heavy fight. Shadow standing in the street, blew the hero in the bus. Scallon spinning in the smoke, tearing up the heavy fuss. Grab the heavy shield bang, charging through the heavy rain. Crashing with the metal on, fighting through the heavy pain. Swinging at the heavy head, dodging up the heavy steel. Snatched him mask off his face, staring at the dark reveal. 70 years in the past, looking at the heavy bro, still paralyzing the streets, stopping up the heavy blow. Heavy blast hits the ground, phantom vanishes in the grave. Grab the chips from the spot, ready for the heavy play. Gotta pull the heavy chips right into the metal brain. Millions beings waiting on the line, standing in the heavy rain. Hydra aiming at the world, ready for the heavy purge. The soldier out of time, about to break the heavy surge. Hangar gates open, lifting up the heavy mass. Engine start burning, stepping on the heavy gas. Cannon spinning up to drop 1,000,000 in the red. Falcon spreads the wings, flying right above the deck. Dodging all the flak, dropping 3 upon the deck. Fighter jet, rushing it, aiming for the heavy neck. Dodging heavy bullets, dodging heat, seeking fire. Lured, tracking missiles, breaking up the heavy wire. Swooped into the room, swapped the chip inside the brain. Captain takes the second, dropping soldiers in the rain. Plug the second tracker, step into the final flight. And I'm stepping up, knocking captain in the fight. With the metal wings, kick the falcon off the ledge. Pop the parachute, hanging on the heavy edge. Dropped upon the engine, running to the heavy core. Phantom in the shadow, blocking up the metal door. Clashing with the brother, fighting for the 1,000,000 lives. Choke the phantom out, taking back the heavy drives. Plugged it in the slot right before the heavy blast. Agent turns the cannons, making sure the shadows pass. 3 heavy carriers blasting in the open sky, crashing in the water, watching all the monsters die. Sinking in the river, fading in the heavy deep. Brother dragged them out, saving from the heavy sleep. Woke up in a ward, Hydra locked inside the cell. Met the hidden boss, standing by the heavy bell. Widow drops the file, reading up the heavy past. Fake the heavy dip, taking off the heavy mask. Flipping through the pages, ready for big man in a suit of armor. Take it off, what are you? I'm the mechanic with a wrench, making weapons out of blue. Yeah. Hit the hardware store, fertilizer in the sack, turning ordinary junk into a lethal attack. Air gun, popping stun gun, dropping them in sight. Flash bang, ball exploding, blinding guards with the light. Found a fake Mandarin, just an actor in a chair. Saving hit me with the hook, leaving me gasping for the air. Woke up tired of steel, Maya standing in the room. Extremies in the blood, bringing on the heavy doom. Killian walked in, bit her from the rooftop snug. Injected pepper pots, now she's in a monster club. Maya tried to help, but he shot her through the heart, tearing my whole world and my legacy apart. Brody's suit is melting from the fire in the palm. Killian's the devil, breaking down a heavy calm. Harry's watch is ticking, mark 42 is on the way. 5, 4, 3, time to make them all pay. 1 gauntlet, 1 pistol, clearing out the entire hall. Propulsion in the boots, watching every villain fall. Landed on a plane, saving his armor on the chest. Blasted through his heart, put the traitor down to rest. 13 souls falling, screaming from the broken tail. Caught him in a chain, I'm the hero who won't fail. Barrel of monkeys, dropping everyone in the sea. Then a semi-truck crashed and smashed the armor off of me. You think the suit makes the man? You got it all wrong. I'm the mechanic with the fire, and I'm coming for the throne. Avenger squad pulling up, crashing through the Hydra base, hunting down the glowing scepter, tearing up the secret space. Bearing holds the heavy staff, building up the super guns, forging up the mutant twins, making sure the danger runs. Slicing through the soldier line, dropping bodies on the field. Tony flying to the front, crashing on a power shield. Tanks are bombing up the city, Iron Legion dropping down, warning all the innocent to quickly evacuate the town. Hawkeye fires a deadly arrow, watching it just disappear. Beast are moving like a ghost, bringing on the heavy fear. Tony blasting to the core, shutting down the heavy dome. Drops the guards with a single blast, making himself right at home. Downloading the secret data, kicking down the hidden door. Captain screaming at the Baron, standing on the bunker floor. Wanda sneaking in the back, blast the captain to the ground. Tony steps into the vault, walking where the secret's bound. Giant alien Leviathan, hanging in the shadow space. Scepter glowing in the blue, staring Tony in the face. Wanda casts a silent hex, messing with his heavy mind. Visions of the dead Avengers, leaving Tony falling blind. Snaps back to reality, calls the metal heavy glove. Snatches up the magic staff, blowing from the dark above. Jarvis scanning up the stone, seeing consciousness inside. Tony calls for Dr. Banner, nowhere left for them to hide. We can build the Ultron tech, shield the planet from the space. Working every day and night, trying to protect the race. Failing on the heavy test, losing all the system code. But the gem is waking up, walking down a darker road.
Gem is hacking in the dark,
Twisting up the metal frame,
building up a robot body.
step into the heavy game. Wanted to protect the world, yeah. Put an arm around his own. Tony steps up, pulling on the heavy garage, capping on the metal glove, but it's staying in the lock. Brody pulling too, but the handle doesn't shift. Hawkeye giving up, nobody can make the lift. Captain pushing down, making heavy metal slide. Thor is losing up the smile, dropping off their Asgard pride. Broken metal puppet walking out the shadow wall. Ultron stepping up, refusing the creator's call. Banner spots scrap, that's the Ultron code. 3 Legion Iron bots jumping in the battle mode, smashing up the room, catching heroes off the guard. Snatch the glowing step and running through the heavy yard. Crush the metal shells, but the demon hit the net. Hack the Jarvis system, leaving nothing but the threat. Thor grabs Tony by the neck, lifting off the deck, blaming the mechanic for the heavy global wreck. Ultron builds the body, stepping with a heavy aim, drafting up the twins, pulling them inside the game. Parents blown apart by the heavy Stark shell, stepping to the dealer for the heavy metal hell. Wild up $1 billion to the dealer with a smile. Avengers pulling up, standing in the heavy aisle. Negotiation drops, lasers flying in the dark. Hawkeye shooting arrows, hitting on the heavy mark. Silver blur striking cap, moving in a heavy flash. Grab the magic hammer, taking damage in the crash. Wanda sneaking through, pushing magic in the brain, trapping all the heroes in the heavy mental chain. Mind control it, pushing heroes to the edge. Hulk is going crazy, stepping off the heavy ledge. Roaring in the dust, breathing in the heavy city air. Smashing up the street, bringing nothing but the nightmare. Mind stone shining on a heavy metal head. Thor dropping lightning, waking up the heavy dead. Vision stepping out, ain't the Ultron or the code. Picked up the magic camera, shocking up the heavy road. We go tapping Morse code, tracking down the heavy grid. Quicksilver running fast, Honda pulling up the net. Tony spots the trap, but the demon hits the switch. Anti-gravity, pulling, lifting from the heavy ditch. City in the sky, pulling roots from out the dirt. Millions on the run, trying to dodge the heavy hurt. Vision dropping down, kicking Ultron off the web. Metal army rising while the human forces ebb. We don't cause the hope, dropping down the heavy green. Wanna losing hope, hiding in the broken scene. Hawkeye drops the truth, building up the heavy fight. Fury pulls the carrier, stepping in the heavy light. War machine blasting, pulling people to the ship. Avengers at the core, making sure the metal slip. 3 laser beams melting up the heavy phase. Hulk smashing metal, knocking demons out the space. Ultron in the jet, shooting bullets from the sky. Silver blur jumping in, ready for the heavy die. Took the heavy lead, dropping heavy to the ground. Wanda screams in pain, wiping metal to the sound. heavy for the crowd. Swings a hammer, striking like lightning in the car, shattering a rock. Biggest civil war popping off on the heavy scene. Cap and Tony clashing, making heavy metal gleam. No one holding back, putting power on the line. Panther hunting Bucky, pushing for the heavy spine. Wanda throwing magic, blasting Panther to the back. Hawkeye pulling punches, holding steady on the track. Widow pulling kicks, trying not to break a friend. Wanda stepping in, bringing mercy to an end. Spotty swinging high with the shield, knocked him down. Full cap on his back, throwing heavy on the ground. Sliding with the kick, webbing up the heavy hands. Cap flipped him in the air, throwing Spotty on the sands. Ripping off the web, bounced the shield off his face. Spotty backed away, looking for a heavy space. Dropped a massive crate, right up on the kid's head. Where you from, Queen? Brooklyn is what they said. Falcon in the sky, Hawkeye shooting up the dark. Him-Man riding on the arrow, tearing it apart. Slipped inside the armor, pulling out the power cord. Tony locked the system, throwing fire at the board. Scott dropped out, but he ain't finished with the fight. Hit the heavy switch, turning massive into light. Giant man stepping up, grabbing Rhodey by the chest. Swung him in the air, putting Spotty to the test. Spotty webbed him up, sliding heavy in the dirt. Giant throws a bus, making sure the Panthers hurt. Vision cause it had, blocking out the heavy blow. Spotty drops a bomb, but the giant wouldn't bow. Ripped the plane wings, swinging heavy at the boss. Tony dodging fast, taking heavy metal loss. Captain Bucky running, trying hard to reach the jet. Vision shooting lasers, but the magic makes a net. Wanda holds the rubble, Rhodey blasts her to the floor. Spotty wraps the giant legs, ending up the heavy wall. Giant hitting ground, Widow switches up the side. Blasted Panther with the taser, letting Captain ride. Vision shoots the beam, Falcon dodging in the air. Rhodey taking heavy damage, falling from the heavy stair. Three Titans staring down a purple alien threat. Thanos standing completely calm, hasn't broken the sweat. Thor summons up the hammer and the heavy axe. Titan vows to burn the world and leave no tracks. Rebuild the universe without a trace of the hate. Tony and the Thunder God are rushing the gate. Thanos blocks the combo with the double-bladed sword. Thor throws the heavy hammer like an angry lord. Titan snatches Tony, uses him to take the blow. Iron Man is knocked out, dropping to the dirt below. Stormbreaker pushing deep into the Thunder's chest. Titan about to put the heavy hitter down to rest. Wait, the hammer rises, flying through the heavy air. Captain holds Mjolnir, hitting Thanos in the square. Titan pins the captain, smashes him into the ground. Hack him with the heavy blade, delivering the pound. Shat hood up the shield, broke the metal in the shred. Thanos brings the massive army rising from the dead. Captain tightens up the strap, standing up alone, facing down a million monsters on the broken stone. Static on the comms, golden portals in the dark. Falcon on the radio, igniting up the spark. The fallen hero stepping out, ready for the rumble. The century war begins when Captain yells, assemble. On your left, yeah, on your left. Portals open, bringing back the heavy dead. Avengers rushing forward, painting all the metal red. Giant man throws a punch, flips the massive alien ship. Tony hugging Peter Parker, holding tight up on the grip. Need to run the glowing stones, Ant-Man clicks the heavy key. Hawkeye sprinting through the trench, dodging all the dark debris. Panther snatches up the glove, taking on the heavy heat. Thanos steps into the lane, knocking Panther off his feet. Wanda blocks the double blade, lifting boulders in the air. Rips the armor off his chest, tearing up the Titan's lair. Rain fire, missiles dropping, blasting up the bloody dirt. Strange holds the massive flood, making sure the squad ain't hurt. Spidey triggers, instant kill, stabbing through the alien horde. Swinging on the hammer's thread, dodging from the heavy sword. Ship is shooting up the ground, pinning down a heavy fight. Captain Marvel hits the sky, smashing through the metal light. Takes the gauntlet from the kid, rocketing across the map. Thanos throws the spinning blade, blows the tunnel to a scrap. Tony, Thor, and Captain jump, trying hard to lock him down. Titan headbutts Thunder God, slams the captain to the ground. Snatches up the glowing glove, Carol pins the heavy arm, absorbing all the cosmic force, sounding off the loud alarm. Thanos rips the purple rock, punches Carol to the black. Tony looks at Doctor Strange, knowing there's no turning back. Knowing there's no turning back. 1 in 14 million chances, rushing at the Golly King. Snatch the stones right off the glove, pulling off the final sting. I am inevitable. Titan snaps the empty head, but the armor holds the power, shifting up the bloody sand. I am Iron Man. Heavy snap across the space, busting up the alien army. Wiping out the Titan race. Pepper whispers, you can rest, crying softly in the dark. The universe is breathing out, saved by Mr. Tony Stark.